Guys, welcome back to Mr. C's Introduction to Business. How are you? Crazy hot day today, eh? 39, or at least it's supposed to feel like 39. Anyway, let's talk investing. Hot topic amongst the financial sector. Before we do, I'm just going to give you a general definition of investing. Investing is the act of giving time, money, and or effort into something, someone, or some initiative with the expectation of a return. So we'll break that down. First of all, in general, investing can be giving time, money, or effort. So, for example, if you are working to go to the gym and gain a certain body composition, you're putting time and effort into that goal every day, and you expect sometime to be met with a return or something you get in return. Now, the kind of investing that we're talking about is investing money. So giving money to a person or organization with the expectation of getting a certain amount of money back, hopefully more, at a certain time, whatever that may be. Investing is a serious thing. It's not to be taken lightly. People talk about it very casually, but it's something that requires a lot of research and attention given to the companies that you invest in. And it's important to make the right decisions. And the right decisions will be governed by your knowledge of the business and the industry, as well as, to a certain extent, a gut feeling. If you ever heard of a guy named Warren Buffett, you should check him out. I'll say the name again, Warren Buffett. And he's one of the richest men in the world, and he made his money by investing. And he's considered to be a sort of investing guru, in the sense that everybody pays attention to what he has to say. And in fact, his knowledge on the stock market is considered to be so valuable that a few years ago there was a charity dinner, to raise money for a cause. I don't remember what it was. But Warren Buffett offered an hour of his time over lunch. That was, it was an auction sort of thing. And that was one of the items to be auctioned off, was an hour of Warren Buffett's time to discuss investing or whatever the person wanted over lunch. And it sold for $3,457,000. Not even kidding, for 1 hour of time. So knowledge is power, or more specifically money, particularly when it comes to investing. So when you're investing, it's important to consider investment objectives. So what are your goals going in? This is important because investing can feel a bit like gambling, and it is to an extent gambling. And people can sometimes lose themselves in it. So it's important to go in with an expectation or an understanding of what your objectives are. Investment time limits. So how much time are you going to spend on this? Because it's very easy to go down the rabbit hole and just keep reading articles and stuff like that. And investment strategies. So there are different ways to invest your money and different options that you can take, and we're going to talk about that after we get through this slideshow. So investment objectives pertains to what you want to achieve from investing. And this can be safety, for example, and we're talking about financial safety. Income's another. So if you're able to invest really strategically and profitably, you can actually make a living doing it, but that's rare. You really have to have a gift for it. Growth, so just making more money, for the sake of future goals or financial security. The safety objective when it comes to investing takes on another meaning as well, and it means to just keep your money safe, because you can lose your money when you invest. So it's important to consider how much safety you want your money to have. So expected return is the profit, i.e. return, that you think you'll get from an investment in the form of interest which is money that's tacked on to your original investment amount over time, in the form of dividends, which we haven't talked so much about. Dividends are small amounts of money that the company can choose to pay investors. And this happens yearly. They're not a lot of money. I mean, it depends on how many shares you have. Remember we talked about corporations and how when you become a corporation, you sell pieces of ownership of the company to random people or to buyers. Those are called shares, if you remember. And the more shares you have, the more chance you have of getting dividends, and the more dividends you'll get. So anyway, to sum up, dividends are small pieces of money that the company can give people who invest as a sort of reward for their investment. Or capital gains. This is a government term, which has to do with money that you make above your original investment. So kind of like interest, except this is what the government calls it. And it pertains to making money on top of money that you originally have. So risk is always a factor when you're investing. And this is the amount of uncertainty about the expected return, including the fact that you may lose some or all of your investment. So again, it's kind of like gambling in the sense that the future is never really certain as to what's going to happen to the company that you're investing in. And there is a real chance that you could lose everything. Not everything, but everything that you invest in. So generally speaking, the principle is low risk, low return, meaning that your money is generally safe, but you're probably not going to make that much. Versus high risk, high return. So there's a really high chance that you'll lose everything, but there's also a really high reward for investing in that company. So it's a gamble. I'm not going to go through this. I'm not going to go through this video here. I'll let you watch that on your own. Choosing investments that will provide you with ongoing regular returns so that you can supplement your employment income. By the way, when I say supplement, that means in addition to. So in your classes, if your teacher ever gives you something called supplemental reading, it means reading that you can do in addition to the reading that's required. Usually colleges or universities do that. So when we talk about supplementing your income, what that means is that you're getting money in addition to your salary for whatever job you get. Normally this would come from dividends, usually. So remember how I said that there are small pieces of money that can be paid as a reward for investing? So some people will choose to invest their money in companies that have a reputation for paying dividends, and that way they can supplement their salary. Now, you have to invest quite a bit for that to happen, and it doesn't happen right away, but it's something to consider. Also, different methods of saving money outside of investing, so things like, and we're going to talk about all these, by the way, bonds, GICs, which is guaranteed income certificate, and savings accounts. Number 3, growth objective. Investing for the future and selecting investments that will increase in value over time. So parents will do this a lot when they want to help their child pay for college or university, because usually that's quite expensive. So what parents will sometimes do is they'll take, say, $100 every month from their paychecks, and they'll set that aside and invest that money with the goal of it growing over time. And then when their child needs it, they'll take the total amount of money that's there and use it to help pay for college or university, or a home, or anything in particular. So for something like this, given that it's growth objectives usually go hand in hand with the safety objective, because if you're trying to build an amount of money for a future endeavor, it's important that it be safe, right? So growth objective investing usually comes in the form of stocks, which is buying shares of a company on the stock exchange, and we'll get into what that is. mutual funds, which we'll also talk about, real estate, which is a very hot topic right now, especially in Ottawa, although it's a very expensive market to get into. And collectibles. This is the interesting one. Do you know that a lot of people are investing now by buying cars? Isn't that weird? It's a very niche collectible market, so you really have to know what you're doing. Okay, investing time limits. So this pertains to considering how much time you have before your objectives have to be met. So this isn't just how much time you spend on investing. This more pertains to the time between you want to invest your money and when you're going to need the money that you've invested. For example, with going back to the whole investing for your children's education, if you're starting before the child's born, then you don't need all that much growth, right? Because you've got a long time to wait. Because first you have to have a child, and then he or she's got to turn 18. So that's a long time. However, if you're doing a different kind of investment where you need the money very soon, then you might want to take a more risky but high rewarding route. It's never guaranteed, by the way. I'm not advocating that if you have a goal, you should take really high risks. I'm just saying that that's the sort of the theory. Some investments produce returns more quickly than others. Also, some investments that are high risk in the short term tend to realize more secure returns over a long period of time. All right, investment strategies. In terms of meeting your objectives, it's important to consider what your objectives are, but acting on them is critical. So you have to, if you do choose to invest your money, it does take a time commitment, and it does, you have to be willing to act. There are deadlines. For example, right now, the marijuana stock exchange, well, not the marijuana stock exchange, there is no such thing, but the marijuana industry was one that a lot of investors were very keen to get in on. And the stock prices for marijuana companies it grew explosively quickly within a short amount of time. So people who were aware of the stocks and what to invest in, who to invest in, and had done all the research, had to do it ahead of time. And they also had to be willing to invest their money right when the opportunity came. Otherwise, the stock prices, which we're going to talk about, the stock prices would increase because they go up in value. So you want to buy them when their value is low, and then as their value grows, you can then sell them, and bam, you've made a profit. But you have to be willing to act right away so that you can get in on the ground floor before that growth happens. Now, interestingly, the marijuana stock has declined quite a bit, which no one thought, well, not no one, but a lot of people didn't think that would happen. People thought that it was going to be it was going to break the stock market, metaphorically speaking, and that stock prices would surge beyond anything we'd ever seen. And that's not what's happening, interestingly. So some people who really took the risk and invested a lot are losing, and they're losing a lot right now. And so, it's a good thing that they acted, but you also need to be sure of your understanding and what your goals are and what your objectives are. And it also highlights the importance of balancing your investment for safety, income, and growth. You want to keep all three of these in mind. A lot of people who were investing in the stock markets when marijuana was legalized were primarily looking at income and growth. And so they just threw money at it. And what's happening is the stock market, the stock values are just not taking off. They did very briefly, I believe, but nothing crazy happened, like no multimillionaires were made overnight. And people who invested a lot are now losing money because the stock market just isn't doing anything that crazy right now. And COVID-19 has had a huge impact on the stock market in general. Now, I talked about the marijuana stock industry because it's kind of a hot topic in the sense that it's probably the largest disruption in the stock market as the result of a new industry being legalized. So whenever that happens, there's a big impact on the stock market. But COVID-19 has had a negative impact on everything. And, well, not everything, almost everything. There are a few companies that are doing well, particularly, companies that operate with or that deal with sanitizing, Obviously, there's a huge demand for sanitizing products right now, whether it's hand sanitizer or wipes or whatever. And, people who had the foresight to see that coming needed to have done their research, decided what their objectives were, and then actually invested the money before everyone else realized this, and then the prices of the stocks went up. Because when you're buying stocks, you're paying money for a certain ownership of these companies, and then at a later date, you choose to sell that ownership and get your money back. But if you're buying the stock after the price has gone way up because the value's gone up, then you're not going to make much profit now, are you? Because you're buying at the higher price. So you need to be able to act early, and you need to be able to do so clearly. And whether you lean towards safety, income, or growth depends on where you are in life. If you have lots of money to spare, then you can afford to be risky. If you don't, then you definitely want to be safe. Here's the stock market. Watch this video. I'm not going to watch it here, but this is a very cool video. By the way, this is made for Europeans. So our stock exchange is called the Toronto Stock Exchange, or the TSX. I think they talk about the German one in here. Anyway, really good video. It explains everything. Check that out. Okay, so when investing, something that's really important is called diversification. So this refers to another video for you to watch. Check this out. Really good video. Basically, don't invest all your money in one thing, because what happens if that one thing that you've invested everything in doesn't go well? Well, you lose everything, right? So basically, put your eggs in more than one basket. Invest in different items. We're going to go over those. The idea is to get as low risk as you can while still getting a return on your investments. So yeah, check this video out. I think it's 4 minutes. It's a cool video. I'm not going to watch it here. Let's press on. Okay, so go to the handout. The video is going to keep going for the handout. Or actually, I'll make a different video for that. So go to the handout called Saving and Investing Options Handout. I thought this was funny. Anyways, all right. I hope that made sense. If you have questions, email me or come see me in my office hours, and I'll see you in the next video. All right, take it easy.